Hello everyone, welcome to your very first Git tutorial. Version control systems are tools used to track changes to source code. As the name implies, these tools help maintain a history of changes. Furthermore, they facilitate collaboration. Git is an example of a distributed version control system commonly used to open source and commercial software development. Distributed version control systems allow full access to every file, branch, and iteration of a project and allows every user access to a full and self-contained history of all changes. Unlike once popular centralized version control systems, distributed version control systems like Git don't need a constant connection to a central repository. Developers can work anywhere and collaborate asynchronously from any time zone. Without version control, team members are subject to redundant tasks, slower timelines, and multiple copies of a single project. To eliminate unnecessary work, Git and other VCSs give contributors a unified and consistent view of a project, surfacing work that's already in progress. Seeing a transparent history of changes, who made them, and how they contribute to the development of a project helps team members stay aligned while working independently. Git is commonly used for both open source and commercially software development, with significant benefits for individuals, teams, and businesses. Git lets developers see the entire timeline of their changes, decisions, and progressions of any project in one place. From the moment they access the history of a project, the developer has all the context they need to understand it and start contributing. Developers work in every time zone. With their distributed version control systems like Git, collaboration can happen anytime while maintaining source code integrity. Using branches, the developers can safely propose changes to production code. Businesses using Git can break down communication barriers between teams and keep them focused on doing their best work. Plus, Git makes it possible to align experts across a business to collaborate on major projects. Even when you're working by yourself, it can let you look at old snapshots of a project, keep a log of why certain changes were made, work on parallel branches of development, and much more. When working with others, it's an invaluable tool for seeing what other people have changed and as well as resolving conflicts in concurrent development. Modern VCS also lets you easily answer questions like who wrote this module? When was this particular line of the particular file edited? By whom? Why was it edited? There are many ad hoc approaches you can take to version control. Git has a well thought out model that enables all the nice features of version control like maintaining history support and supporting branches and enabling collaboration. Git models the history of a collection of files and folders within some top level directory as a series of snapshots. In Git terminology, a file is called a blob and it's just a bunch of bytes. A directory is called a tree and it maps names to blobs or trees. A hash can point to a blob, a commit, or a tree. It is 40 characters, but only a few are usually enough to identify a commit. For example, GitHub shows first 10 characters. A Git uses hashes in two important ways. When you commit a file into your repository, Git calculates and remembers the hash of the contents of the file. When you later retrieve the file, Git can verify that the hash of the data being retrieved exactly matches the hash that was computed when it was stored. In this fashion, hash serves as an integrity checksum, ensuring that the data has not been corrupted or altered. Git also uses hash digits as database keys for looking up files and data. Image on the left is a normal representation of the directory and the image on the right is the Git representation of the directory. Each file is stored as a blob object. Git generates the hash of the contents of logo.png and app.css. Both logo.png and app.css are in the same directory assets. And the directory assets is represented as a tree object. Tree object works like a dictionary. Both both the assets folder and app.js file are in the same directory. It's a top level directory and again it works like a dictionary. Git has three main states that your files can reside in: modified, staged, and committed. Modified means that you have changed the file but have not committed it to your database yet. Staged means that you have marked a modified file in its current version to go into your next commit snapshot. Committed means that the data is safely stored in your local database. This leads us to the three main sections of a Git project: the working tree, the staging area, and the Git directory. Working tree is a single checkout of one version of project. These files are pulled out of the compressed database in the Git directory and placed on the disk for you to use or modify. Staging area is a file generally contained in your Git directory that stores information about what will go into your next commit. Its technical name is index, but the phrase staging area works just as well. The Git directory is where Git stores the metadata and the object database for your project. This is the most important part of the Git, and it is what is copied when you clone a repository from another computer. The git commit command will save all stage changes along with a brief description from the user in a commit to the local repository. Commits are at the heart of Git usage. You can think of a commit as a snapshot of your project where a new version of that project is created in the current repository. At a high level, Git can be thought of as a timeline management utility. Commits are the core building block units of a Git project timeline. Commits can be thought of as snapshots or milestones along the timeline of a Git project. Commits are created with the git commit command to capture the state of a project at that point in time. Git snapshots are always committed to the local repository. Git doesn't force you to interact with the central repository until you're ready. Just as the staging area is a buffer between the working directory and the project's history, each developer's local history is a buffer between their contributions and the central repository. This is what a commit object looks like. It's all the metadata plus the hash of the root tree object. And of course, Git creates a SHA-1 hash from those contents. You can't change a single thing about this commit without getting a different SHA-1 commit hash. Multiple people can work on a Git repository. Each person gets his or her own copy of the whole repository. It is a setup usually like this. There is one central repository. Everyone who wants to work on it makes its clone on their own computer. For each person, the original repository from where they made the copy is a remote repo. A remote in Git is a common repository that all team members use to exchange their changes. In most cases, such a remote repository is stored on a code hosting service like GitHub or on an internal server. In contrast to a local repository, a remote typically does not provide a file tree of the project's current state. Instead, it only consists of the .git versioning data. The git remote command lets you create, view, and delete connection to other repositories. Remote connections are more like bookmarks rather than direct links into other repositories. Instead of providing real-time access to another repository, they serve as convenient names that can be used to reference a not-so-convenient URL. Clone is the process of copying a repository. After the clone, the original repository is added as its remote. Push and pull can be performed on that remote. Fork is just a different name used by GitHub or Bitbucket in the sense that a fork operation clones the repository to your GitHub account instead of your computer. As a convenience, cloning automatically creates a remote connection called origin pointing back to the original repository. This makes it very easy to interact with the central repository. The difference between forking and cloning is really a difference in intent and purpose. The forked repository is mostly static. It exists in order to allow you to publish work for code review purposes. You don't do active development in your forked repository. The cloned repository is your active repo. It is where you do all your work. But other people generally don't have access to your personal cloned repo because it's on your laptop. So that's why you have the forked repo, so you can push changes to it for others to see and review. The process of getting updates from remote is called fetch. When fetched, latest commits are downloaded to the user's computer and stored in a separate branch which tracks remote changes. These changes can be then applied with a merge command. It's a common practice to fetch periodically to stay up to date with what everyone else is doing with the repository. Git fetch really only downloads new data from a repository, but it doesn't integrate any of this new data into your working files. Fetch is great for getting a fresh view on all the things that happened in a remote repository. Due to its harmless nature, you can rest assured fetch will never manipulate, destroy, or screw up anything. This means you can never fetch often enough. Pull downloads the changes and also applies them in one go automatically. It's basically fetch and merge in one step. Push is the process of uploading your changes to a remote repository. Pushing is how you transfer commits from your local repository to a remote repo. It's the counterpart to git fetch, but whereas fetching imports commits to local branches, pushing exports commits to remote branches. If you make some changes and commit again, the new commit will also point to the previous commit. So each new commit only knows about its previous commit. When you keep changing files, a chain of commits maintain a history of what was done in each commit. You may load any previous commit anytime. If you have loaded commit 4, you can go back to commit 2, but there is no way you can reach commit 3 until you have stored its address somewhere. The thing which keeps track of different branches is named simply a branch. A branch is just a movable pointer which keeps pointing to the latest commit in that branch. Every time you commit, it moves to that newly made commit. Git names the default branch as master. Branch of the commit which you have currently loaded is tracked by the head. Head always points to the commit or the branch which you are on at that time. Each commit other than the first one is dependent on the previous commit. We can call that one as the base commit. In simplest terms, rebasing moves all commits like a building to another point or another commit. Usually you would rebase a branch to the head of your main branch. Note that when rebasing, whole set of moved commits will be recreated so that they can fit perfectly on top of the new base. Merge is usually an alternate of rebasing. Instead of moving that feature branch, a new merge commit is created which connects both the branches. This new commit is made up of all changes done in both branches separately. Merge conflict can arise which must be resolved to successfully create the merge commit. That's all for this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.